is my guest? Well, sit back while I bring her to you right about after now.
I don't think in gender boxes at all. I just get on with it.
A man that would dare to ask the wife, who do you think you are? That is a real man.
Yes. We need to have more women, more multitaskers around Nigeria to get Nigeria working.
Definitely.
My guest today on the show is a woman I want to use to redefine what a woman of substance is. Well, let me start from the home front. She is a mother. She's a grandmother. She's a general overseer of the Spirit and Life Family Bible Church worldwide. She's also the president, Godhead Family Prayer, initiator of Women in New Nigeria, Godhead Self-Sufficiency Entrepreneurial Program, and this also is in Florida. She is the CEO of Tabitha Widows Rehabilitation and Empowerment Program, and recently she just got an award, on top of several awards she's had, and that is the U.S. Congress 2019 Global Women of Excellence. Nice to have you join us, Apostle Eunice Osagiede.
Excellent. You got it right.
All right. I know you just came in from the U.S. and where you got this award, and you was well positioned for the Women's Day to give importance to what the day should be. How do you feel, receiving that? You are the only Nigerian,
only African,
the only African, yes, amongst the 20 people. And as a matter of fact, I was told there were 150,
yes,
and only 20 selected.
Yes,
and you happen to be one of them. How does that feel?
Well, I mean, it's such an awesome thing to just, glorify the name of the Lord for what the Lord has done. And my coordinator in Chicago, the location where the award was going to be issued from Washington, D.C., she called me and she said, the bio you sent to me for your books which you publish, a congressman came to my home and picked it. I said, who is this person? That was just it. And the next thing, I began to get a phone call from some of the Congress people. Honestly, it was so great, very humbling. I felt good for my country. I felt proud as an African, Nigerian African. That's what I called myself. I kept stressing that because I made them realize that there's another pilot. She's a female pilot, the youngest pilot ever, but she has some Ghanaian blood in her. But she's Ghanaian, she's Indian, and she's French. And I was saying to her, well, you are not a pure African.
I'm the pure
African.
At that time, they begin to envy you.
I tell you, really envy, it was great. So they were wonderful, and I felt proud of my country. I felt, really grateful to God.
Well, one thing I take out from your story is the fact that you did not just say, I was happy. You said you were humbled by it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one for me. You did not say I was proud of my achievements, but you said I was proud of my country, my nation.
Oh, yes.
It's something that I think I should stress on, because people should always understand that if you have humility in you, you're better placed in places. And if you carry your nation along, the nation will elevate you.
For me, that was the greatest, because I know as a global traveler, as an evangelist who travels over the world, I know the way sometimes you get to immigration, we talk about Nigeria, but I felt that it's not for the congressman to be about Africa. No. Nigerian African. I'm a Nigerian.
It's about time we rewrite our history.
We should write our history
because there are a lot of good people around doing good things.
Great.
Now, talking about good things, which actually projected you, I'm particularly concerned. A lot of pastors who preach prosperity, all that, but you preach empowerment, especially for women and youth. Why did you choose that?
Well, I know that, the place of the woman in family, society, nation at large is very key. For me, I had an experience in my life. I had a father who believed in girl child education. My father had, my mother has 10 of us, 9 ladies and 1 man. And my dad had a lot of backlash from his family over the years. that you don't train these girls because they're going to get married.
Like, seriously?
Their names will change. Well, typical way the African man would think in those days. They're going to get married and that's going to be. But my father was different. He used to be a police commissioner. He made sure every daughter.
Oh, I see where the strength comes from.
Okay. My father made sure you got the best in education before you talk about marriage. He won't let you. He won't want any man to put us down. And so that brought my life a lot, that strength. And then marrying a husband who was also very much in the business of pushing the wife ahead. My husband was wonderful in that area. We go to a program and knowing that we have gender, chauvinistic challenge even in the kingdom work. Not everybody accepts women to preach or to teach. He would go to a program and we'll go to teach together. My husband would pick him up the phone and say something like, there's this man of God here, he's so wonderful. This man of God is going to talk to you today and just bless your life. Put your hands together for Mrs. Me. Everybody would say, what's that? I tell you.
Mrs. Me.
Yes.
I'm hearing that for the first time.
Okay.
So my husband just described me as Mrs. Me.
Great. So I picked up and for me, that was something, and I began to look at the area of the gender of the woman, and my heart was stirred. Coming to Abuja 14 years ago, I think my dream was really birthed. I had a burden for women. In my widows program, I saw so many indigenous and vulnerable widows in this part of the country. So I went through the area councils and pulled them out. Some were HIV, challenged. Some were under this insurgency, and them and the youths, it was so serious. And I decided to do grassroots because that's where the challenge really is. And I thank God, my heart was just passionate, knowing that when you step the woman up, the family is taken over. Today we have widows who used to have regular, white-collar jobs, but now 3, 4, 5 children of the widows in a home will learn 5 skills. And I like to use the palaces of the chiefs because to cut down on cost of renting places and the continuity of the program, because we need to maintain, see what they are doing, how they are going. Because that's one area we used to be challenging in our country. We like to set up something, but we don't
do a follow-up. Yes.
So I don't like to do that. I want to follow it up very well. So we meet monthly in the palaces, and 500, 600 widows, 1,000 will gather.
Is that what gave birth to your WIN program? That's Women in the New
Nigeria, yes.
Okay.
So that's what it is, because it's interfaith. It's non-church, it's non-online, non-political, it's just non-profit. And so it's just about empowering the women grassroots. So we start with the empowerment of the change of mindset. Your mind must change. That's the empowerment.
Very important.
So if your mindset has not changed, you can't empower anybody.
But when you kill somebody spiritually, it's difficult to actually, yes.
So my empowerment program is 3 in 1. Start off with your mind change. And when the mind changes, it's like, okay, I can do something. And the second one is, okay, what skill are you qualified to be able to learn? Based on educational qualification, we have 25 skills. And so they look at it, and then they pick a few. And then after that, they think of how do we get the finance. So I started with something that you can afford, something not too much, get the money out and we'll just try. And I thank God because when you turn it over, it's great. Put them together as cooperatives, little groups.
Now, I know that Edo State is not just Edo State actually, but when we talk about young girls, moving out to go do some businesses, it always falls back to Edo. What has your ministry done to, reorientate this young people?
Yes, that's great. For a long time, I dealt with anti-prostitution and sex trade issues for over 25 years. And I tell you, God has been great. I began that program by really getting to the mothers, because I had to look at the source of this whole challenge.
Origin.
And through my teaching, as a community-based assignment out of church, it's not just on the pulpit, you have to affect the community. So I began to gather the mothers. And in the meetings, it was a very lovingly approach. I have to gather them a lot and then make them realize that this is bad, this is evil. Show them the scriptures, this is not right. You can't be proud that you build a house with your child's blood. I mean, what are you doing? Pretty girl, why you do that to her? And I thank God for the response, because we came out with a campaign, No More Prostitution in Edo State. Very powerful campaign. We had to go all full length to make sure that even those who are in the business of, I don't know, they stand to do whatever. And that year, I had an opportunity to go out to Netherlands, and I went to Rome too. I went to the embassy, Nigerian embassy there. met the ambassador and we worked together. Mother and President Manuel went to, some of the camping areas where our women are staying. And see them on the street around that 10, 11, 12 at night. Young, beautiful ladies. Why become whatever as a stooge in the hands of these Italian men, for God's sake? And I tell you, God did a lot. Out of loving them, their mothers gave us some information, able to track some of them. Through the teachings, many people found their way back for a better life, and God opened their eyes. I can assure you, it's not for those states really, to be fair. It's not as bad as it used to be. In those days it was worse, but I can assure you that things are better than what it used to be.
Well, definitely, media, and we must give kudos to the likes of you who are making efforts to ensure that it's completely.
And we don't stop there. It's not enough to just tell somebody, well, this path is wrong. What's the alternative? Mm-hmm. So we also provide the alternative, and family empowerment is also the answer. Mm-hmm. I tell the girls, you can do so much for your life, and I thank God they now appreciate that. Rather than living that kind of life, it's great.
All right. I know Tabitha is a particular word in the Bible that means something. And I am not a preacher, even though I understand the gospel. So I want to know, what's the link between Tabitha and the foundation you set up for widow, and why?
Yes, in the scriptures, that woman, she was in that kind of a lifeline, but she was not looking out for handouts. She was not like out there blaming everybody for her situation. But she knew that her hand was a workshop. I tell the widows here, I say, you want to be a Tabitha, somebody that would not be underrated, not be vulnerable. Running around with, they say, oh, widows, going around crying, accusing in-laws, accusing everybody for your lot. It's not going to be so. You're not going to be just receiving handouts, everybody throw handouts, and you can be a blessing. I said, Tabitha was a blessing to the extent that she made clothes for people, she supported society, and when she died, she had to be risen from the dead. Because people came and said, look at what she did for us. Look at what she did for us. I said, you can be that Tabitha. From there I got the name. And I told them, a widow that is upstanding. And I thank God for my life, because I don't tell them I am a widow. No, I don't accept that. I tell them, it's a long time. When I gather them together and we begin our meetings, there are thousands of widows in the north that I relate with. And I tell them, don't blame nobody for your life. Don't blame nobody for not going good. Stop accusing in-laws and family that they didn't live up to expectation. Let's look unto God. One of them in particular, Sabi, she used to have a situation of just 30,000 naira a month. But she trained her 2-3 children because of the monthly follow-up. We train every month too. So if you learn a skill this month, you learn another skill next month.
And you can always join.
And sometimes they bring their children that are, teachable. So they're home with your hand as a workshop. You don't need to rent a place. Everybody is busy. And when we take the process out, as I pay from 30,000 to make 250,000 a month in our house.
Okay, Tabitha is a blessing, and we'll tap into that anointing and blessing as well. Now, you talked about widows, and I know you're one. And I know that in the, gospel industry, ministry, it's not always easy for a woman to assume these shoes of her husband. But you have comfortably fitted in as the general overseer. Or has it always been a challenge?
I want to say that my husband and I working together in ministry as one unit was great, so great in our lives. And truly, like you said, of course, first of all, personally, that was like having to go this route alone. That challenge was there. But I thank God, because God really strengthened my life. And we just work as a family. The challenges you expect ministries to have, the hiccups and the backlashes, we didn't experience that. Rather, everybody was up on board to see that this good work that God has started in their lives continue for the finish. So it's been a blessing, and I thank God for that.
I really am happy, because skirmishness does not help anything to grow. Ministry or anything, it doesn't help anything to grow. All right, I know that you just mentioned your son, and I know she has a family. I told you earlier that she's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's an auntie, she's a whole lot of things put together, and she just does not just preach. She does a lot of things. She actually sits on this seat that I sit sometimes, as a television host in Benin City. We'll get to unravel all that, but I'd like to do that in her home. So let's take a walk to your place and get to find out who is she behind this grammar she's speaking.
All right. family that God has given to me.
Okay, and
This is the bishop right here.
Okay, that's the bishop.
You recognize me there, yes, okay. This is Bishop, first son here. I'm the bishop of the church today. This is first son Gabriel, second son Ruben. Then he has a pretty princess daughter.
It's not here. Okay.
It's not here.
Where's the wife?
And that's his beautiful wife, my daughter.
Okay.
Yes.
I noticed you used my daughter.
Oh yeah, no, she's not daughter, but she's the first woman of the family. No? In charge of every other person.
Okay.
Even my daughter who is Nigerian knows that this is her big sister. So that's the older. This is my second son.
Okay.
This is his wife over there. This is his daughter. And this is my third child, my first and only daughter. This is her husband right here.
Lovely.
Yes, it's the son. And that's my fourth son there.
Okay, that's the fourth one.
Fourth one.
Alright.
Yes. And this is the fifth one. It's just of them. Then I have my two, covenant sons, Moses and Joshua.
Covenant son.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, they are adopted in Christ.
Okay.
So that's it, and thank God for their lives. I thank God for them as babies. Through my orphanage ministry, I branched out of just visiting orphanages every week and decided to participate and just taking some of the kids to myself. That's how I got into my life, and God has been good.
That's good. That's
Part
good.
of a lovely family.
That's good. All right. I can't wait to sit down and have my lovely chat with
Yeah,
you.
welcome.
Thank you very much. Here's the bishop with us.
Nice to meet you.
And your mom looks very young.
Yes.
What do you give to her?
I give to her the grace of God.
That's
Yes,
nice.
yes.
That's how does it feel having a mother like this?
Wow. It's a blessing. It's an honor. I recognize that the older I get, I see that it's really a privilege, to have a mother like her. So I thank God every day for being her son.
When you say the older you get, it tells me when you were young, she used to spank you.
Oh, definitely. Yes, I had my share. Of discipline. Yes.
And that time you were like,
She was an expert in the pulling of the ear. But I'm grateful to God for today.
does she give you problem? I mean, you're the bishop of a church now, and she's the general overseers. A lot of general overseers are very lauding. Does she give you that lauding experience? And does she actually separate the role of a mother and as a general overseer for you?
Yeah, and that is something I'm very grateful to God for. My mom has really allowed me to be what God has called me to be. She's really a blessing for me, actually. She's allowed me to hear from God for myself, share my ideas, and she's never been a lauding type. She will always give her advice, but never been the lauding type, so...
growing up as a younger boy, was there a time you thought, this woman, this the way they do me, I don't like her, and what was it like? You felt like boxing her? I felt a lot of...
I mean, I never felt like boxing her because my dad would box me out too, so... during those times in school, when I was in high school, you want to hang out with your friends and go to places your parents don't want you to go, and she's, don't go there, don't do this. God told me about this. God is always speaking to her about our lives, and I remember, those times were a little frustrating,
Now, Mom, what is it you enjoy so much being a mother?
I thank God for that. I mean, I think that's my choicest area of my blessing from God. It's very comforting, it's very fulfilling. And I enjoy my motherhood role that God has given to me. And I want to make it plain that I do separate it from ministry. And God has given me the grace to draw the line between being a mother and then, of course, being general overseer.
You are not just a biological mother to your 5 children. You also have biological children, way beyond 5 of them, both the ones who are close and the ones who are outside. Yes. A lot of times, people adopt other people's children and turn them into slaves. How have you been able to manage, without separating? I see the whole family is together. How do you manage to give equal love to all of them?
Well, you know, God is great. I thank God because I believe that God really truly passioned my heart for that. And by God's grace, I believe that from time I loved compassion. Especially my heart is compassion driven in the area of, you know, just encouraging life. I want to say that, in fact, what happens is that sometimes I think I bend over backwards to try to make sure that my non-biological don't suffer any lack. They don't see the difference. My non-biological, they were babies, and they were born, took them from birth.
Were you not scared, doing that? A lot of people tell you, I don't know the kind of blood that's coming from here and blah, 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 blah.
Yes, I do hear those things, but that's not part of my heart at all. I just see them as, you know, an opportunity to serve God through their lives. Because children are not an accident. Children are a gift from God. Even the triplets too. By the time they came into our lives, they were just a few hours born. And like I said, God just spoke to me. When you wake up, go to Central Hospital. When you get there, female gynae ward, female bed, last bed. Finish. No other instruction from God. And I just took off. I was still working then. Drove my car 7:30, went in there. Can you imagine just going to the hospital in the morning? Normally it's 4 p.m. for visiting. It didn't even occur to me that somebody could stop me, the matron or the doctor, to say, where are you going, madam?
What happened to their mother?
Well, their mother, thank God, she's still alive today. And she's been part of our ministry.
What did your mom cook that you like so much? What was her favorite dish in kitchen?
She used to do yam porridge.
Yam porridge.
Yes, I remember yam porridge very well. Come back from school, you know, it's amazing. I haven't eaten yam porridge now in a long time. I guess, you know, through marriage and everything, but she used to do a lot of, you know, make yam porridge and, you know, I used to like yam porridge very well.
All right.
It's amazing. I actually remember that. Yes, yam porridge.
Okay. I can actually see that you're actually perceiving the aroma.
Yes.
You have to go and do this for him one more time. All right, now, what do you think, as a woman, is the greatest challenge for women, you know, in moving forward?
The fear of the future. They have financial fear, insecurity, because of financial challenges. And that is why, as much as possible, the whole mindset of empowerment, telling them that you can make it, renew your mind. That's the first stage of empowerment. I tell them money is the least. Let's start with the fact that you can succeed.
You actually moved around. I see you in your German costume. Yes. Were you doing...
Every year in our ministry, we have a convention of nations. And every year we celebrate nations where the ministry is existing. So nations come in their look, in your cultural look, what you look like, what you put on. We have a kingdom parade of nations. And so for me, as General Overseer, I like to affiliate with nations. So every year I look out for, you know, how to look like any of the nations. So this was my German frock for last year, during the Kingdom Parade of Nations service.
All right. So let me ask the bishop finally, before I take leave of you. When you get mommy angry, what do you do to placate?
Well, you know, my mom and dad, my mom was actually she was the disciplinarian. She had a way of, you know, making her point clear, you know, because she wanted us to grow a certain way, and, you know, really she used to always call us that we were Levites. So for me, whenever I got her, you know, angry, it was just more of not being around her presence. After a while, it would just die down, you know.
Did you hear that?
After a while, because, you know, she gets busy with other things, then she just allows it, you know, just go like that, you know. Being older now, I am much wiser, so I've known my mom long enough to know what can get her upset and what can, so I stay away from anything like that. And but generally, she's just someone that hardly gets, you know, it must take a lot for her to get to that point.
But don't take it for granted, because I can assure you, she has a police background.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you look for trouble, it's part of the fact that you're the big boy and the bishop. Yes. She'll put you here and you know.
I've had my share, yes. I've had my share.
All right. I'd like to say see you again some other time, but I don't know. I'll come to Benin and see you. But for you? Bye.